Hello and welcome to News Round, a recap of stories in the week. I'm Teniola Shobowale. The headlines. The President flags off commercial operations on the Lagos-Ibadan Railway project, promises to prioritize rail transportation system. Some PDP lawmakers walk out of House of Representatives plenary over suspension of microblogging platform Twitter. Bandits Attack Nuhu Bamali Polytechnic in Kaduna State kill 1 student and kidnap 8 others and 2 lecturers. Plus, world leaders gather for G7 summit in Cornwall, southwest England. That's News Round in View. News Round begins with the President's visit to Lagos, where he undertook 3 major assignments: the commissioning of the Lagos-Ibadan rail line, the Nimasa Deep Blue project, and the security equipment donated by Lagos State to the Nigeria Police. The commissioning of the rail project came as a major milestone in the administration's effort to reposition the transport sector. President Muhammadu Buhari said that his government would continue to prioritize the railway system as a transportation backbone that can transform industrial and economic activity in the country.
This edifice in Ebute Metta is a symbol of the ready state and functional Lagos-Ibadan rail project. The project is darling to the administration, and the President is definitely the man to carry out the official function. President Buhari arrives at the venue with the auditorium already packed. Nobel laureate Professor Wale Soyinka, the host minister Rotimi Amechi, Minister of Works and Housing Babatunde Fashola, Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila, and many other dignitaries are also in attendance.
Excellency, Mr. President, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu speaks on behalf of Governor Dapo Abiodun of Ogun and Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo, whose states are direct beneficiaries of the $1.6 billion project.
Our 3 states have benefited greatly. Lagos continues to be home to the flagship station on this line, where we're seated, my predecessor, Mobolaji Johnson Station, which is here on this ground. Ogun State has the iconic railway wagon assembly plant in Kajola, and Oyo State is home to an inland dry port that will help decongest the Apapa port.
Rotimi Amechi to now deliver his address.
The project had its fair share of setbacks, and the minister, who's been on the front line to see the project through, says the President already has a track record of completing rail projects.
This occasion is the 3rd time Mr. President is commissioning a standard gauge railway infrastructure project, completed and delivered under his watch. Even though Kaduna Abuja was started by the regime of President Goodluck Jonathan, we completed it and commissioned it. We completed the one Itabewari, and I am happy the responses we are getting from people who use the Itabewari rail line. And today, we are here in Lagos.
For the President, the project is another milestone in the administration's drive to revitalize the railway as a major means of mass transit across the country and beyond.
The Federal Ministry of Transportation and Ministry of Finance have been directed to vigorously act on engagement and reaching financial agreements with appropriate co-financiers to partner with the federal government for the development of the Ibadan-Kano Railway and the connection to the Tin Can Island port, as well as the west to east coastal rail line from Lagos to Calabar linking Onitsha, Benin, Warri, Yenagoa, Port Harcourt, Aba, and Uyo.
It's time for the main business of the event. The president leads other dignitaries to perform the official launch. Today's ceremony marks the kickoff of the full commercial operation on the Lagos-Ibadan Railway Corridor, which would also see the Nigerian Railway Corporation scale up its operation to move millions of people and tons of goods. This project is also part of the 2,700 Lagos to Kano standard gauge line. Dari Ido, Channels Television News.
Well, it was also a historic occasion for Nigeria as the president received 12 indigenously made mobile phones in Abuja. The mobile phones produced by the Model Skills Training Center of the Industrial Training Fund, an agency under the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, was presented to the president by the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Ni Adebayo, before the commencement of the Federal Executive Council meeting.
President Muhammadu Buhari arrives to join members of the Federal Executive Council for the weekly meeting. It's a lean number as the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, 4 ministers, among others, witnessed the presentation of the first indigenously made mobile phone presented by the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment. After the meeting, the minister further explains that Nigeria carves a niche for herself with the introduction of the locally made phones.
It was made by the Model Skills Training Center of the Industrial Training Fund. It's no different from any other mobile phone. They're trying to mass produce it. This is the beginning. This is the first one that they have made. I'm sure they will go on to try to see what they can do with regards to charging without having to use conventional power sources.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Finance announced the approval of 895.84 billion naira as the 2021 draft supplementary budget for military hardware procurement and COVID-19 vaccines.
The total of this expenditure is made up of 83.56 billion for COVID-19 vaccine program, covering 30 billion vaccines from Johnson & Johnson and the logistics costs relating to the deployment of that 30 million vaccines. In line with this approval, we have been also given approval to draw down on some existing World Bank loans totaling about 39.58 billion as part of the financing source for this supplementary budget. We've also been given approval to withdraw 135 billion from some special reserve levy accounts to part fund this supplementary budget, but specifically related to COVID-19 vaccine, salaries, and other health-related expenditure, as well as the recurrent component of the defense and security expenditures.
The approval also includes additional borrowings to the tune of 722.53 billion naira for security expenditure sourced from the domestic and international capital markets. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
And now the dust raised by the suspension of Twitter in Nigeria has been generating more controversies even in the government circle, especially at the National Assembly, where there was a mild drama at the House of Representatives plenary. Some members of the People's Democratic Party staged a walkout after the party's caucus leader, Kingsley Chinda, was ruled out of order by the Speaker. Mr. Chinda had prayed the House to urge the federal government to rescind the decision on the Twitter suspension while the House conducts its investigations as directed by the Speaker.
Lawmakers in the Green Chamber resumed plenary after a 2-week break due to the National Security Summit of the House and the Constitution Review public hearings. In his welcome address to the lawmakers, the Speaker responds to the Twitter ban by the federal government and states the position of the House.
It is in service of our obligations under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and our moral duty to the Nigerian people that the leadership of the House has mandated from today The House Committees on Communication, Justice, Information and Culture, and National Security and Intelligence to immediately commence an investigation to determine, 1, the circumstances of the decision by the federal government of Nigeria to ban the operations of Twitter in Nigeria, and 2, the legal authority for the ban on the operations of Twitter in Nigeria. The committees are additionally mandated to invite the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, to brief the House of Representatives on the objectives, intent, and duration of the suspension of Twitter in Nigeria, and to report to the House within 10 days.
About an hour later, when it seemed the matter had been addressed and buried, the leader of the PDP caucus raises a point of order, dissatisfied with the earlier position as stated by the Speaker. But he is ruled out of order.
We should urge the executive arm. In the interim, I use the word urge, the executive arm, in the interim, to reverse this order, pending the outcome of our interaction with the executive arm.
Thank you, Honorable Chinda.
Yes, sir.
Let me very quickly, so that we can move along, refer you to Order 9, Rule 1, Sub-Rule 6 of our rules. It shall be out of order to attempt to reconsider any specific question upon which the House has come to a conclusion during the current session. You're ruled out of order.
Mr. Speaker,
please, Chinda, please be guided.
A slight altercation ensues as Mr. Chinda refuses to be hushed, resulting in a walkout by some members of the PDP, while some other lawmakers jeer them out.
Mr. Speaker, in the circumstance, for PDP members, we have agreed we continue.
The next order of the day,
please, Chinda, please, you are a ranking member.
Is the first reading.
We'll continue to tweet.
Please,
we are with Nigerians, and if the Attorney General wants to...
If you want to go. Go.
Where is it here? At first, I thought it was a partisan move, but I'm so glad, and I'm happy to see several members of the opposition still here in chambers with us, and I commend you for your non-partisanship.
The PDP caucus insists that it will proceed with its earlier threats to take the government to court, and that the Speaker's statement was his position and that of the leadership, not the entire House. Meanwhile, Tuesday's plenary was dominated by security-related matters.
The House notes with serious concern the invasion by suspected armed bandits of Igagan Town, the Barapa North local government area of Oyo State, at the wee hours of Saturday, 5th of June 2021.
The role of government in governance is to protect lives and property of the people and to provide welfare for the people. Mr. Speaker, we have failed woefully. Go to the northeast, north central, northwest, southeast, southwest, south. Our people have been killed. What are we doing in government? It is important we address this, Mr. Speaker. Is it the time when we have fighter jets moving here and there that we will address this issue?
A minute of silence is observed for those who recently lost their lives across the country, and the House approves a motion calling for improved security across schools. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
When News Round returns in just a moment, bandits attack Nuhu Bamali Polytechnic in Kaduna State, kill 1 student and kidnap 8 others and 2 lecturers. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. To security matters, residents of Zaria in Kaduna State woke up on Friday to the news of yet another attack by gunmen on a school in the state. This time, a polytechnic where a student was killed and 8 others and 2 of their lecturers kidnapped. The gunmen stormed the Nuhu Bamali hostels and lecturers' headquarters, shooting sporadically at everyone inside. The incident is the 3rd in the series of school abduction incidents in the state since March this year.
This is Nuhu Bamali Polytechnic, located along Kaduna Zaria Road, the gateway to most of the states in the northwest zone. It's less than 2 kilometers to Zaria City in Zaria local government area of Kaduna State. However, despite its proximity to the Emirates, the peace of the polytechnic community took flight on Thursday night after kidnappers invaded the institution, killing 1 student and abducting 8 others and 2 lecturers. Eyewitnesses told Channels Television that the gunmen came into the school through an unfenced area and went straight to the hostels and staff quarters, shooting to create fear amongst residents. It's also reported that the bandits attempted to attack travelers on the highway, but were repelled by troops before they then made their way to the Polytechnic. 2 students were shot by the bandits. One of them, who is in his final year, died on Friday, while the other victim is still in hospital. 2 people who say they were lucky to escape expressed concern over the security situation.
I got this in the process of escaping. They went into my bathroom where I was trying to enter the ceiling, and they dragged me down and brought me outside. So in the process of bringing me outside, I realized that I can push the guy since the gun is hanged. And I pushed him and I took off.
While I was running, all of them started chasing me. I ran to an extent whereby I saw somewhere. I went there. Then the next thing we will start hearing was a gunshot.
The wife of one of the lecturers narrates how her husband was kidnapped.
One of them from outside said, if you don't cooperate, just shoot his leg. I said, don't worry, just cooperate. That was how they pushed him out of the window, and then the person that came inside also followed.
The students of the Polytechnic say this is not the first time they are witnessing such attacks due to its vulnerability.
At least we should see troops around. We all know that this is not where they're supposed to be. But because of the security issue in the states, we need them around. Many students are not staying in the campuses because of issues like this.
The state government promises to do its best to improve security.
We are of the strong conviction that the bandit came to the institution because they were denied freedom of action on the Kaduna-Zaria road. Possibly that is why they exploited the window that we saw here.
This is the latest attack on a tertiary institution in Kaduna State in the last 3 months. In April, over 20 students and staff were kidnapped from the Greenfield University in Chikun. 3 of the students were killed. All others have since regained their freedom. And in March, 37 students were abducted from the Federal College of Forestry, Mechanization in Afaka. They've also been freed.
Meanwhile, there's some good news from the theatre of the Boko Haram war in Borno State, where Governor Babagana Zulum reopened the government secondary school Chibok for academic activities 7 years after it was shut after the kidnap of over 200 students. At the ceremony, Governor Babagana Zulum reaffirmed his commitment to quality education for students of the newly refurbished school in spite of the security challenges.
It is a calm atmosphere all around the school premises. A look into some of the classrooms suggests a neat environment ready for academic activities. The Borno State government opens up the GSS Chibok once again after 7 years of closure, owing to the abduction of final-year girls from their dormitories. And Governor Babagana Zulum is here, along with the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talin, and Borno State Senator Ali Ndume, to witness the occasion.
We are very proud. We are very proud for Her Excellency.
The children were abducted 14th of April 2014, and to date, these children are still schooling under a non-favorable environment. And therefore, this administration under my leadership has swung into action and completed rehabilitation of this very important secondary school.
The Minister of Women Affairs performs the official reopening of the school while appealing for girl-child education.
I therefore commission this to the glory of God and for the upliftment of education in Borno State and Nigeria at large. I'm also impressed to see that His Excellency has gone further to construct an additional school facility as clearly seen in this new government secondary school and that of Government Technical College in Balala. This is a clear testimony of His Excellency's commitment to revamp education in the state, particularly the girl child education.
A mother of one of the abducted students, who spoke on behalf of other parents that have been catered to by the state government, commends the state governor, even as they hope for the best concerning the school children and the return of other abducted students.
If there's life in education and development is compulsory, we will not reject this good thing because of what happened. We want our children to study. When the school was still in a state of disrepair, we felt traumatized anytime we saw it. But now we feel good with a new look because it gives us hope that one day the children will come back.
I'm so elated and happy and thank God that part of it now have been achieved. The part that has been achieved is that the school has been built and reconstructed and even improved upon. And the students now can go to school because Chibok is a hunger-driven for education society.
The government secondary school Chibok remains a day school for now, until the government comes up with its safe school plans for a boarding house with both male and female students.
News Round ends with the G7 summit, where world leaders gathered at the resort of Carbis Bay in Cornwall in the southwest of England. Global coronavirus vaccinations and climate change are dominating the focus of the summit. Well, here are some of the major highlights so far.
Leaders of the G7 pose for the traditional family photo ahead of talks. It's their first in-person talks in nearly 2 years. Global coronavirus vaccinations and climate change are due to be the focus of the summit between the leaders of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom and the United States.
It is genuinely wonderful to see everybody in person. I can't tell you what a difference it makes. We've all been going through the most wretched pandemic our countries have faced for our lifetimes, maybe longer. Much longer. And I actually think this is a meeting that genuinely needs to happen because we need to make sure that we learn the lessons from the pandemic. We need to make sure that we don't repeat some of the errors that we doubtless made in the course of the last 18 months or so. And we need to make sure that we now allow our economies to recover.
You invite me. My friend there.
Meanwhile, environmental activists are asking for immediate action from the G7. Leaders have been campaigning in Cornwall. 7 people have been arrested after 2 vehicles were stopped and searched about 3 miles from the summit venue. More than 5,000 extra police officers, on top of 1,500 from Devon and Cornwall, will be working around the summit.
And that's News Round this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Teniola Shiboale. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.